is the opening remarks by the chairs of the Quad Committee, and allow this representation, ladies and gentlemen, to deliver his opening remarks. Magandang umaga po. Good morning, esteemed co-chairs, honorable colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our senior deputy speaker, the proponent of this investigation. Welcome to our 10th Quad-Comm hearing. Today, we shall continue with our inquiry on the issue on illegal drugs. If you recall, we started in the Committee on Dangerous Drugs in October of last year, 2023. We investigated the illegal drugs seized in a warehouse in Mexico, Pampanga, which turned out to be owned by Empire 999, a corporation owned by Chinese nationals who pretended to be Filipinos. When the hearing started, they all disappeared. Records show that the main players have gone back to China using their real passports and identities. To date, Quad-Comm has initiated forfeiture proceedings of all their assets here in the country through the Office of the Solicitor General. The Quad-Comm now discovered that it was but the tip of the iceberg. Empire 999 is not alone in this illegal activity. Other corporations may have been formed to cover or mask this activity, as evidenced by their interlocking sets of incorporators, all the way leading to personalities who are long suspected of illegal drug activities, namely Lin Wei-Xiong and Mr. Michael Yang, the former economic advisor of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. This discovery led us back into the past. Witnesses now claim that powerful people associated with these two Chinese have facilitated the entry of illegal drugs into the country during the past administration. We have invited all these personalities today so we may know whether or not they have any involvement in illegal drugs, and we shall listen to their side later. We shall also resume the hearing on the extrajudicial killings that took the lives of more than 20,000 people during the past administration's war on drugs. In our past hearings, names were mentioned, admissions were made, witnesses and resource persons appeared, questioned, vetted, and tested. Forced admissions in any way was never part of Quad-Comm. We may not have extracted yet the information fully from them, but we never put words in their mouths. Whatever testimonies and affidavits they presented before the Quad-Comm were given by them freely and voluntarily. We may be accused of providing entertainment and likened to a gag show, but who is laughing? On the contrary, the one who said that must be so full of himself that he didn't notice that the joke was on him. We are not here to pin down nor exonerate anyone. All we wanted was to know the truth, the same truth that the people have been longing for, most especially by the families of murder victims and the victims who survived. We intend to use these truths in crafting legislation, some of which we have already filed, as well as make recommendations to any agency to plug loopholes in their systems, if any is discovered. If along the way, people are found to be liable, it is our duty to make sure that justice is served. There is nothing funny about it. We only mean serious business. We have reached this point because in the course of the investigation, we found very disturbing facts and questions needing answers. We owe it to the people. As public servants, we pledge loyalty to them. They trusted us and voted us in office. We serve them. We will not use the Quad-Comm to exonerate ourselves and proclaim our innocence in the face of overwhelming evidence. Now, if I may, I invite all of you to look at the screen and see the inconvenient truth. These numbers are from the official PNP reports as published both then and recently, last October 21, and not just made-up stories by the Quad-Comm. Ikumpara po natin ang unang 2 taon ng Duterte at BBM administration. Tingnan po natin ang total ng krimen o tinatawag na index crime volume. Sa unang 2 taon po ng Duterte administration ay nakapagtala ito ng 217,830 na krimen. Samantalang sa parehong panahon naman sa BBM administration, ang krimen ay bumaba ng napakalaki. 83,059 o nangangalugan na pagbawas ng 61.87% sa index crimes. Any claim to the contrary is but a figment of the imagination and if not, a propaganda. Pangalawa, tingnan po natin mula July 2016 to December 2017 ay may mga namatay o pinatay na 4,354 sa mga police anti-illegal drug operations, habang 16,000 naman at 355 naman ang pinatay na mga riding in tandem at mga di pa nakikilalang mga salarin. Noong 2018, inilagay ng PNP sa kategoryang HCUI or Homicide Cases Under Investigation na umabot sa talang 23,327. Samantala, mula July 2022 hanggang katapusan ng 2023, ang bilang ng mga napatay sa mga legitimate police anti-illegal drugs operations ay 73 lamang po. Pangatlo, may kabuuan na 115,435 na anti-drug operations na nakalikom lamang ng 3,294.44 kilos ng shabu na nagkakahalaga ng 18.43 billion pesos sa unang 2 taon ng dating Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte, habang sa mas kakaunting anti-illegal drug operations lamang sa parehong panahon sa BBM administration ay 84,676, subalit nakalikom na mas maraming shabu na umaabot sa 6,481.16 kilos. The anti-drug campaigns under former President Rodrigo Duterte from July 2016 to July 2018 and the current President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. from July 22 to early 2024 represent contrasting approaches in tackling illegal drugs and the crime in the Philippines. While both administrations aimed to reduce drug-related crimes, their methods and resulting outcomes reflect significant strategic and operational differences. Here is a detailed comparison of the first 2 years of the administration's campaign. As has been shown earlier, ang numero po ay hindi po nagsisinungaling. Ito po ay galing sa Philippine National Police. Duterte's anti-drug campaign was characterized by an aggressive, highly visible approach involving frequent operations and a high fatality count. His administration focused on eradicating drug activity at all levels, which led to widespread arrests and significant drops in crime, but also raised concerns over human rights and due process. In contrast, the Marcos administration appears to have adopted a more refined approach, with an emphasis on improved crime-solving rates and efficiency in enforcement. The significantly lower number of fatalities coupled with large drug seizures and high-value arrests suggests a strategic pivot towards disrupting drug networks through focused, intelligence-driven operations. This approach may reflect a more sustainable model aiming to dismantle supply chains rather than focusing on sheer arrest numbers or area saturation tactics. In conclusion, both administrations achieved reductions in crime and drug-related offenses, but the Duterte administration's approach was more intensive and controversial, with high casualties and widespread operations. The Marcos administration has made efforts to continue the campaign with fewer fatalities, a higher concentration on strategic arrests, and increased operational efficiency, suggesting a potential shift towards a more systematic and less violent anti-illegal drugs approach. The numbers mentioned above are real numbers. Sa totoo lang po, hindi namin alam ang mga tunay na pangyayari sa likod ng mga numerong ito hanggang nag-umpisa ang ating investigasyon. Ang sinabi na ating lahat na kwento ay ang karamihan ng mga pinatay ay kagagawan ng mga vigilantes na hindi pa nakikilala habang ang mga natitira ay biktima naman ng legitimate police operations kung saan ang mga pinatay ay sinabing ng laban. Sa mga testimonyang malayang ipinahayag sa ating mga pandinig, ay naipakita na marahil dito ay bunga ng pamamaslang ng mga operatiba o pulis na inutusang pilitin ang mga nahuhuli na manlaban upang tuluyan na silang mapatay. Sa pahayag ng dating Pangulong Duterte sa Senado, sinabi niya na totoong sinabihan niya ang kapulisan na mag-encourage o himukin ang mga suspects na lumaban upang patayin na sila at nang sa gayon ay matapos na ang problema. Mas nakakagimbal ang mga pahayag na may pabuya o reward ang mga operatibang makakapatay ng mga nasa listahan ng drug personalities. Hindi ito maikakaila sapagkat marami na ang nagsabi, kabilang na si dating Special Assistant to the President na ngayon ay Senador Bongo, sa kanya mga interviews noon, kasagsagan ng war on drugs. Ang pangakong pabuya ang malamang na naging dahilan ng paglobo ng dami ng pinatay. Without validation of the so-called narco-lists, names may be added at will, whether or not the person is a drug personality, as in the case of General Wesley Barayuga, whose name was added to the list way after he was killed. May mga nagsasabi na maganda ang mga naganap na patayan sapagkat mga drug lords naman po ang napatay o ang mga adik na kriminal. Subalit sa aming investigasyon, lumalabas na may mga ibang drug lords nga na napatay, subalit iilan lamang, samantalang madaming mga malalaking drug lords ang nagpatuloy sa kanilang gawain at na protektahan pa ng gobyerno at nabigyan pa ng titulo imbis na maimbestigahan. Libo-libo ang mga pinatay na mga tricycle drivers, homeless na nasa kariton, construction workers, at mga ordinaryong tao na halos wala nang ang makain at walang laban, mga taong napagtripan na lamang. Ito ba ang mga drug lords? Pangkain nga, wala sila. Pangdroga pa kaya? Mga batang inosente, gaya ni Kian de los Santos, basta na konsunadahan ka, delikado ka na. Lahat ng patay may reward na katumbas. Sino ba ang ayaw maging ligtas ang ating mga lansangan sa mga masasamang elemento? Subalit kung ang mga pinalit sa mga masasamang elementong ito ay mga otoridad na naghahanap buhay, mas nakakatakot maglakad sa lansangan at baka masama ka sa missing persons or unsolved homicide cases. Ipagpalagay na natin na mga adik ang ibang pinatay. Bakit pa tayo naglaan ng daang-daang milyon sa pagtatayo ng mga drug rehab centers kung papatayin din lamang natin sila? Ito ba ang dahilan kung bakit hindi nagamit ng full capacity or in full capacity yung ating mega rehabilitation center na nandoon sa Nueva Ecija? Pag drug addict ka ba, wala ka ng karapatang mabuhay dahil wala ka ng silbi sa buhay? Ang mga pinatay ay mga tatay, nanay, anak, kapatid, apo, mga miyembro ng pamilya na may mga nagmamahal. Napakinggan natin dito ang kanilang mga naulila. Sila'y kaawa-awa at kalunos-lunos. It is really sad that human lives were lost and wasted just to prove a point that we are against illegal drugs. The right to life is paramount as it is God-given and precedes all other human rights. Without life, there can be no rights. Quad-Comm will not sit idly by in the face of all these discoveries. We intend to get to the bottom of all these issues fairly, honestly, and truthfully. Hiningi po namin ang inyong buong pagtitiwala. Hindi po kami nag-aakusa lamang dahil sa politika o ano paman. Kayo po ang humusga. Inilalatag lamang namin ang aming mga impormasyon at katotohanan base sa mga salaysay tunay na pangyayari at mga dokumentong nakalap sa aming mga pag-iimbestiga. Patuloy po naming babantayan at sisiya sa atin ang mga aligasyon, akusasyon at impormasyon para mapangalagaan ang ating bayan. Maraming salamat at magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. The next to deliver his opening remarks is the Chair of the Committee on Human Rights, Congressman Benny Abante. You are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sa atin pong Senior Deputy Speaker, sa ating Deputy Speaker, sa aking mga co-chairs, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues at mga kababayan, magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. We gather here once more for the 10th time, not merely to sit in one of our typical hearings, in order to file one of our usual committee reports, but for something far greater. We have convened again because we cannot and we must not lose sight of the purpose that drives us, the pursuit of justice for the victims of illegal drugs, for the victims of pogos, and for the victims of extrajudicial killings. To help remind us of why we dedicate so much of our time to this task, I ask you to remember the name of Kian de los Santos, that young man, that minor, whose life was tragically cut short by a bullet fired in the dark. We are here today for Kian and for the countless innocents like him who died in the name of a misguided, bloody war on drugs. To our people and to everyone here, I say, enough. Enough with the gaslighting. Enough with the distractions. Enough with the squid tactics. We cannot be knocked off course by words meant to confuse or mislead. At this point, there is one voice we must focus on. One that was used under oath in the halls of the Senate. Last week, former President Duterte himself spoke before the Senate and the nation, and in his own words, took responsibility for the blood spilled in his war on drugs. He did not deny. He did not deflect. He admitted that he gave orders. Orders that directed our own police forces to encourage suspected criminals to fight back so they could be killed. Under oath, he told us this without shame and without remorse. This was not hearsay. This was not a speculation. This was a declaration from the man himself. He went further. Under oath, he admitted to the existence of the Davao Death Squad, an entity with a lethal mandate that was replicated around the whole country when PRRD was elected president in 2016. But the former president did not stop there. He pointed his finger at the sitting senator, a member of our very government, and named him a part of the DDS, not a Duterte defending senator, no, but a member of the notorious Davao Death Squad. Ano ang sinabi ni PRRD? And I quote, yung isang senador, yang nakaupo dyan, si Senator De La Rosa, Death Squad rin yan. End of quote. And now comes this familiar refrain. It was all a joke. Biro lamang daw. But I ask you, my friends and my colleagues, I ask you, who makes jokes under oath? Who laughs while mothers bury their sons? Who finds humor in this horror? This is no laughing matter. The lives lost, the grief that lingers, the blood spilled in our streets, These are not punchlines in a cruel joke. These are lives, young innocent lives taken from us. But perhaps we should not be surprised. Perhaps we should not be shocked that this sacred issue, the sanctity of life, is treated so trivially. For we have seen time and time again how human life has been cheapened, how easily these men speak of death, how casually they wash their hands of the blood of the innocent. As Proverbs 31 verse 8 and 9 reminds us, and I quote, "Open thy mouth for the dumb in the cause of all such as are appointed to destruction. Open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy." End of quote. We are commanded to raise our voices for those who cannot speak, to seek righteousness for those who have been silenced, and to demand justice for those who have suffered unjustly. This, my friends, this is why we must not falter. This is why we must not rest, why we must not turn away. We have a responsibility, not only to the victims, but to our nation. We must continue this work, unyielding, unrelenting, uncompromising. Mga kasama, we have the statement of the former president. We also have testimony and evidence that corroborates what he said under oath. Now, we must hold to account those who have perpetrated these heinous crimes. Now we must ensure that the cries of the oppressed are not drowned out by laughter, that the dignity of human life is restored, and that no one, no matter how powerful, is above the law. And as we press forward, let us remember this. We do not stand here alone. We stand with Kian. We stand with his family. We stand with a 3-year-old killed by a stray bullet in Cebu. We stand with a 9-year-old killed in Caloocan, and the death certificate showed that he died of pneumonia. We stand with a tricycle driver gunned down just because the drug lord rode in his tricycle. Ladies and gentlemen, we stand with every victim of this dark and bloody campaign. The banality of evil must come to an end. We stand for those who cannot speak, for the voices that were silenced too soon, and we stand with the promise, the solemn vow, that we will do everything in our power to ensure this never happens in our country again. So with hearts full of resolve and eyes fixated on justice, let us continue this work. For if we are to be remembered, if the 19th Congress is to be remembered, let it be not for the jokes or the gaslighting, but for our dedication to the truth, our commitment to justice, and our compassion for those who suffered. Mga kaibigan, maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat.
Thank you, Congressman Abante. The next to deliver his opening remarks is Congressman, the Chair of the Committee on Public Order and Safety, Congressman Dan Fernandez.
Mr. Chairman, I have no opening remarks for today's hearing. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The next to deliver his opening remarks is the Chair of the Committee on Public Accounts, Congressman Caraps Paduano. You are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. The Joint Committee has conducted 10 public hearings, and over the course of these proceedings, numerous witnesses have come forward, reinforcing suspicions of widespread abuses during the Duterte administration's war on drugs. Thus, a significant question has arisen regarding the safety of these witnesses and what they stand to gain from their cooperation. First and foremost, I want to put on record that telling the truth is its own reward. There is inherent value in honesty because it upholds personal integrity, contributes to justice, and fosters trust. By coming forward, these witnesses contribute to uncovering the realities of past actions and ensuring accountability. Their testimonies play a crucial role in strengthening the integrity of our institutions and promoting justice and transparency. Having said that, it is the obligation of the House of Representatives to ensure the protection and security of these witnesses. As a legislative body dedicated to uncovering the truth, the safeguarding justice, the House has a duty to support and protect those who come forward in good faith to share their testimony. The House recognizes the witnesses in sensitive inquiries may face threats, intimidation, or retaliation. As such, it is incumbent upon us to take all necessary measures to shield them from harm. Current laws does not grant the House of Representatives the authority to directly confer immunity from suit. However, we can recommend our witnesses for the Department of Justice Witness Protection Program, which offers both legal protection and additional support. By making this recommendation, we can ensure that witnesses who provide vital information are shielded from prosecution related to their testimonies, in line with the provisions of Republic Act Number 6981. This action requires the consent of the witnesses and approval of our Speaker. In addition, we may consider the option of granting protective custody to ensure the physical safety of resource persons who may be at risk due to their involvement in this investigation. While protective custody does not provide immunity from legal actions, it is an established measure that can provide immediate security during the course of our proceedings. Both actions will require a collective decision from the members of the Joint Committee. This ensures that we act transparently and uphold the principles of democracy. Mr. Chairman, before we proceed with the continuation of our inquiry, this representation would like to put on record and address certain critical concerns relative to the conduct of the parallel inquiry of the Senate Blue Ribbon Subcommittee on the drug war implemented during the previous administration on October 28, 2024. To set things into clear perspective, this representation fully recognizes the authority of the Senate to investigate the details of the implementation of the drug war, as both chambers of Congress are constitutionally permitted to conduct inquiries in aid of legislation in accordance with our duly published rules. However, while the authority of the Senate will never be put into question, what is particularly concerning is the seeming disregard for proper courtesy and lack of impartiality by a member of the subcommittee. In particular, I am referring to the actions of Senator Ronaldo Bato de la Rosa. Allow me to discuss this detail, Mr. Chairman. Senator Bato de la Rosa action of participating as a member in a proceeding where he is named as one of the individuals involved in the implementation of drug war did not produce meaningful results, but rather cast doubts on the integrity of the whole process. In fact, prior to the hearing of the Blue Ribbon Committee, Senator De La Rosa even insisted that the investigation should be heard by his own committee. This action of a sitting member of Congress not only demonstrates disregard to existing rules and processes, but also undermines the integrity of the institution that he is bound to respect. Kung sa simula pa lamang ay gumamit na siya ng impluensya, ano pa ang aasahan natin sa kanya sa mga gaganapin nilang pagdinig? He was the PNP chief when the previous implementation introduced the war on drugs. He also admitted that there were killings attributed to the war because of alleged cases of nanlaban. In short, he was not only involved, but was in fact one of the figureheads of the campaign during its inception. Hence, he should have been mindful that his presence in the hearing as a member of the panel would compromise, if not invalidate, the whole proceeding. Hindi naman pwedeng ikaw ang mag-imbestiga sa iyong sarili. Clearly, this is conflict of interest on his part. At the very least, he should have inhibited from the proceedings and instead offered himself as a resource person so as not to influence and intimidate the other guests. Unfortunately, the Honorable Senator failed to observe this. Even after the hearing, Senator Bato continued to conduct himself in a manner contrary to what is expected from a member of Congress. Asked about his comment on whether he was part of the Davao hit squad, whose existence was confirmed under oath by former President Duterte during the subcommittee hearing. Senator De La Rosa downplayed the same, claiming that the former president was just joking and there was no death squad to speak of. Now begs the question, why would a committee member defend and even interpret a clear statement made by a resource person in a congressional hearing? The confirmation by the former president needed no interpretation, much less from a member of the panel who investigated the same. If you would ask me, it is as if the Honorable Senator came to the defense of the former president while seeking to exonerate himself from any liability. This is further highlighted by his recent statement that he will be objecting any action of the Senate regarding the submission of records to the ICC. The Honorable Senator's recent actions are truly disappointing, Mr. Chairman. We are conducting these inquiries in order to fill the legislative gaps and address problems that necessitate immediate solution. In doing so, we also want to ascertain the truth about the abuses and other acts related to illegal drugs, pogos, and EJKs. Mahirap man ang hamon sa atin na palabasin ang katotohanan. Sa palagay ko ay napagtatagumpayan natin ito. In closing, this representation wishes to remind our Honorable Senator to observe courtesy and fairness in conducting his official responsibility as a member of the Senate instead of resorting to other means so as to discredit the efforts of this body. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madamong salamat.
Thank you, Congressman Paduano. Before we proceed with the admin matters, may we request that the guests, the honorable members who are present, as well as our resource persons, be acknowledged. And the COMSEC is directed to acknowledge the presence of the members as well as our resource persons for today. But before that, let me inform everybody that for today's committee hearing, dalawa po yung ating topic, no? Ang ating topic sa umaga ay yung usapin tungkol po sa illegal drugs. And then later in the afternoon, we will shift to the issue of the extrajudicial killings as a result of the implementation of the war on drugs. So, Comsec, please acknowledge our guests and our members.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, honorable members, honorable chairs. For today's hearing, we have with us Honorable Robert Ace Barbers, Honorable Dan S. Fernandez, Honorable Joseph Stephen Caraps Paduano, Honorable Bienvenido Abante Jr., Honorable Romeo Acop, Honorable Raul Daniel Manuel, Honorable Jonathan Keith Flores, Honorable Gabriel Bordado, Honorable Johnny Pimentel, Senior Deputy Speaker Aurelio Dong Gonzales, Honorable Arlene Brosas, Honorable Francisco Paulo Ortega V, Honorable Edward Vera Perez Maceda, Honorable Zia Alonto Adjong, Honorable Jervil Jinky Beatrix Luistro, Deputy Speaker J.J. Suarez, and Honorable Seriaco Gato Jr. For our resource persons, we have with us from the Anti-Money Laundering Council, Attorney Iranio A. Dumale, the Deputy Director, Attorney Luis Anthony K. Warren, Attorney Darius M. Canulas. From the Bureau of Internal Revenue, we have Attorney Scranton Orculio. From the Commission on Human Rights, we have its Executive Director, Attorney Jacqueline De Guia, Ms. Eileen Paradero, and Ms. Rachel Pelayo. From the Department of Justice, we have Attorney Wesley Young. From the Land Registration Authority, we have Attorney Paulo Tamayo and Attorney John Paul Hidalgo. From the National Police Commission, we have Commissioner Alberto A. Bernardo, the Vice Chairperson and the Chief Executive Officer of NAPOLCOM. From the National Bureau of Investigation, we have Assistant Director Glenn Ricarte, Assistant Regional Director Ferdinand Lavin, Attorney Ross Jonathan Galicia, Attorney John Mark Santiago, Special Agent Florendo Gamunac, Attorney Florendo Gamunac, Ms. Agrafina de la Cruz, Attorney Chris Godinez, and Attorney Yentel Malikad. From the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency, we have Director Ferlo J. Silvo and Director Alden Juan Masagka and Mr. Nick Faildon. From the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, we have its Director General Lazo, ASEC Renato Gumban, Director Emeterio M. Bitong, Director Emerson Margate, and Director Emerson Margate. From the Philippine National Police, we have Attorney Brigido de Jesus Dulay, Police Brigadier General Nicolas Torre III, the Director of the CIDG, Police Brigadier General Elias Mata, the Director of the PDEG, and from the non-government agencies, the Center for International Law sent their excuse letter. And we have with us from the National Union of People's Lawyers, we have the former Bayan Muna Congressman Attorney Nery Colmenares, Attorney Cristina Conti. We have also representatives of Rise Up for Life and for Rights and victims of families of victims, Ms. Dalia Cuartero, Liore Pasco, Cristina Pascual, Marian Erorita, Salvacion Ramos, Shira Escudero, Rowena Morales, Norma Lopez, Marilu Modisto, and Teresita Adrias. And of course, we have with us the Advocates for Human Rights, led by the missionary Rebecca Lawson and Deaconess Robilin Litaw. Also from Program Paghilom, we have its Executive Director, Father Flavi L. Villanueva, SVD, Mr. Randy De Los Santos, a witness, Ms. Arsenia Chico, also a witness, Tesam Castillo and Elizabeth Campo. From the Bureau of Corrections, we have with us Mr. Ian Jake S. Harabe and Senior Superintendent Gerardo F. Padilla. Again, from the Philippine National Police, we have with us Police Colonel Rolando Villela, Police Colonel Serafin Petalio, Police Colonel Marvin Marcos, Police Colonel Redentor Olsano, Police Captain Delfinito Anuba, Police Lieutenant Colonel Santi F. Mendoza, Police Lieutenant Colonel Jason Bombasi, Senior Inspector Emil Garcia, Police Major General Felipe Natividad, Police Colonel Police Colonel Loie D. Jonglay, and those from the CITG, Police Colonel Serafin, Serafin Petalio, Police Lieutenant Colonel Chetadel Carandong Gayran, Police Lieutenant Colonel Marcelino Basconilio Pipo Jr., Police Lieutenant Colonel Raycon Lalaan Garduque, PSMS Deborah Cruz Cordova. Another set of PNP officials, now the Cavite Acting Mayor and former Police Brigadier General Edwin Carranza, Police Colonel Edwin Quilates, the former Batangas Provincial Director. Also from the CITG Halili, Police Senior Superintendent Edward Carranza, Senior Superintendent Edwin Quelantes, Senior Superintendent Gayran, and Senior Superintendent, Police Superintendent Joseph Reyes Arguelles, and Police Superintendent Judy Lopez. And from former government officials, we have Mr. Wilkins M. Villanueva, the former Police PDEA Director. He is here. And former Senator Laila S. De Lima, and Police Colonel Edelberto Leonardo, and Police Colonel Jovi Espinido. We also have with us Mr. Carlos Conde, the Philippine researcher of the International Human Rights Watch. We also have with us Miss Rose Nonolin. Andito na, Rose Nonolin.
Mr. Chair,
Miss Rose
Mr. Chair,
Nonolin.
can those,
May I ask first, Congressman Abante, to let us allow the. Do you still have a lot of names to acknowledge, Comsec?
No more, Mr.
No more.
Chair.
Okay, sige. Okay, thank you, Congressman
can they
Abante.
just sit right there in the witness chair, those that have been called?
Ibigay mo kay Sir.
Do you have a person in particular who you would like to sit in front because of the number of resource persons we invited today? It seems that the whole room is too small for our guests. So, do you have anyone in particular, Congressman Abante, that you would like to see face to face?
For example, Miss Roslyn is here, and I don't see her.
Miss
Roslyn.
Roslyn, are you here? Are you present?
Nonolin, yeah.
Can you take the seat in front of Congressman Abante? Yes, Comsec.
Sir, we also have with us Attorney Dexter Lopez from Tagum, also a human rights advocate, and Mr. Sunny Buenaventura.
Okay. So, thank you, Comsec. So we will now proceed to all our guests. Good morning at welcome po dito sa ating 10th Joint Public Hearing ng Quad-Comm. Medyo pagpasensyahan niyo na po na medyo baka matagal-tagalan po tayo ngayon sa dami po ng ating naimbitahan. And we will try our best to really be able to ask you questions in the hearing for today. So,
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman.
okay, Congressman Fernandez and then Congressman Abante.
I was trying to look at the names that are being mentioned by the COMSEC, and I think he is in the last 2 pages. Actually, minomonitor ko po yung mga binabanggit niya, and tong sila other key personalities and yung mga minention din ni Colonel Garma are not yet mentioned yet. So, will you kindly finish your mentioning of all those persons who are present today?
Yes, sir. Those I read are the ones present, but we invited a lot of personalities. Yes, it's in the
So, in other words,
Admin matters.
you are done with the those who have
yes, those who are present.
present today.
Those who
Yeah.
did not appear today, I think will be tackled by during the admin.
Thank you. All right.
Okay,
Mr.
thank you.
Chair.
Yes, Congressman Abante.
Kaya ko po binanggit si Ms. Roslyn, tinatanong po sa akin ni Congressman Fernandez kung nasan siya.
Okay.
Andun, nasa harapan na po siya. Makikita mo.
Okay, thank you, Congressman Abante. Now, we will proceed with the admin matters, and with that, may we call on Congressman Paduano. You are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before we proceed with the admin matters on all invitees, Mr. Chairman, with regards to documents being requested and ordered by this honorable committee, particularly number 1, the DOJ, for the DOJ, conduct and submit to the Joint Committee an investigation against PNP personnel who were involved in the killing of the late Mayor Rolando Espinosa, and the remarks as of now is ongoing. Can we get some updates on this from the NBI and DOJ, Mr. Chairman, with regards to Mayor Rolando Espinosa killing, the investigation that was directed to you by this committee, reopening of the investigation? Just a brief lang po.
Your Honor, yesterday I met with the representatives of the DOJ, and I was informed that the Secretary of Justice, Attorney Boying Remulla, has just created a special task force that would assist the Quad-Comm in the investigation and the filing of the necessary cases against anyone that would be found liable in the course of our investigation for all extrajudicial killings that happened. And they will submit to us an update, a progress report as to how far the Department of Justice has gone in the investigation.
Thank you for that, Mr. Chairman, for the clarification. Now let's go to PDEA. Provide names of provinces and or areas with AGK-related drugs. Anyway, I have talked with DG Lasso. Ang problema po, nahirapan silang kumuha ng record. So ongoing to, but I instructed the Lola that the DIDM should provide us all the documents available with regards to all the drug-related killings from 2016 to 2022, and directed them to submit the documents within the day. Within the day po. So let us see if that documents will suffice with regards to the investigation of all EJK cases from 2016 to 2022. Now, to the DFA, they have already submitted the records of Edita Yang, and to the AMLAC with regards to asset preservation order to the properties of Edita Yang and the spouses Pangilinan. Still ongoing, no? Still ongoing. Now, and all other documents that was requested last hearing, that was October 22, was already submitted to the COMSEC, Mr. Chairman. As of, I have just received a document coming from the Legal Affairs Department of the House of Representatives with regards to possible application of granting of legislative immunity to to the members, to the witnesses of this investigation, Mr. Chairman. And I move, Mr. Chairman, that discussion on this letter coming from the legal affairs will be deferred on the later part of this hearing, Mr. Chairman.
That's
So move,
noted.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now, let's go with the invitations now. Now, I have with the committee has received a copy of letter coming from the law office of Castaños and Teves representing Ms. Muking Espino, and attached herewith our medical records, no? With regards to the medical status of Ms. Muking Espino, and this is an answer to the show cause order that was issued last October 22, 2024, Mr. Chairman. And with this, Mr. Chairman, I move that we issue a subpoena ad testificandum for Ms. Muking Espino on the next hearing, Mr. Chairman. So move, Mr. Chairman.
There is a motion to issue a subpoena ad testificandum for Ms. Muking Espino.
Yeah, Muking Espino, Mr. Chairman.
Muking Espino and duly seconded. Are there
Seconded,
any
yeah.
objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
And I would like to inform the COMSEC, Mr. Chairman, to the chairman, that the address supposedly to send invitation for Ms. Muking Espino should be in the city government of Davao, because Muking Espino is employed in the said local government unit, Mr. Chairman.
COMSEC, please take note of the address of Ms. Ermina Espino.
We have also received a copy of a letter coming from the lawyer of Senator Bongo. His explanation why he cannot attend today's hearing, Mr. Chairman. Just for the record, Mr. Chairman, we have received a copy from the Chief of Staff of Senator Bongo in the person of Gregorio Angelo Villar, Mr. Chairman.
That's noted.
Mr. Chairman, we have also received a letter that was signed by Cesar P. Manalaysay, managing partner of Mr. Len Wishong, and informing this committee that Mr. Len Wishong is currently out of the country and will not be able to attend the hearing today, while Ms. Rose Nunulin, the spouse of Mr. Len Wishong, is also present today. Thank you for coming, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next is the letter coming from Ms. Attorney Carpio. Attorney Mans Carpio. And in this letter, Mr. Chairman, he is requesting, to be excused on today's hearing because of no ample time to prepare and study the nature, purpose, and scope, and is requesting 4 copies of the following documents at least 3 days before the next schedule: affidavits of witnesses, minutes of the previous meetings, inquiries, other similar unrelated documents or statements. Mr. Chairman, with this, Mr. Chairman, I move that we defer discussion on this letter sent to us by Mr. Mans Castro to be discussed, Carpio, to be discussed on the later part of this hearing, Mr. Chairman. With regards to the documents being requested by Mr. Carpio, Mr. Chairman. So move, Mr. Chairman.
There is a motion as stated. Any second? Duly seconded. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
And we have received a copy of a letter coming from the former Commissioner Fildon. And since he's present, I think I've seen Fildon.
Yes, former Commissioner
Yeah.
Fildon is present.
Mr. Chairman, since he's present in today's hearing, we'll just ask him about the content of his letter in the later part when the time of former Commissioner Fildon will be up to. Again, Mr. Chairman, we have received a copy of a statement from the Science Batch 80 with regards to the Barrioga case, no, and calling for justice. Just for the record, Mr. Chairman, we have received the copy of this letter coming from Science High School Batch 80. And we have also a copy of a letter coming from the Department of Foreign Affairs with regards to the whereabouts of Bismaila Roque, whereabouts of Eddie Yang, Aka Yang Jing, and the basis for cancellation of US visa of Ms. Ruina Garma, Mr. Chair. Just for the record, Mr. Chairman. And if the committee would want to discuss about it, we will discuss this in the later part of this hearing, Mr. Chairman. And lastly, turn to the last one po, Mr. Chairman, we have received a copy, a letter coming from the former retired Police Senior Superintendent Eduardo Arceto. As for my knowledge, he is with our meeting today's hearing through Zoom, Mr. Chairman.
We have extended an invitation to the former Colonel Acerto, who is now in Zoom, and will be called later later in the day when we resume our discussions after the admin matters, Your Honor.
Mr. Chairman, second to the last na lang po to. We have also received a letter coming from Mercado and Associates Law Office representing Police Colonel Hector Gijaldo, and attached with is a contract between Police Colonel Gijaldo and the services of Mercado and Associates Law Office. And the letter was signed by Attorney J.P. Mercado. Is Attorney Mercado present? Comsec? Attorney Mercado? Okay. Mr. Chairman, we deferred discussion on the letter of Hector Police Colonel Gijaldo since the lawyer of the good Colonel Gijaldo is present. We will just ask the lawyer later, Mr. Chairman. And his official entry of appearance in today's hearing. Now, lastly, Mr. Chairman, just a while ago, we have received now.
Mr. Chair,
No?
with the indulgence of the Honorable Paduano,
With the indulgence of Congressman Paduano, Congressman Acop, you're recognized.
may I know if Colonel Grijaldo has an excuse letter insofar as his absence in today's hearing is concerned?
None. Attached herewith is the letter, no cover letter of coming from the lawyer himself, and at the same time only attached medical certificates without a letter excuse coming from Colonel Grijaldo, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, may I move that we issue a show cause order to Colonel Grijaldo to explain his absence in today's hearing in spite of the invitation made? So move, Mr. Chair.
There is a motion to issue a show cause order to Colonel Grijaldo for being absent today. Any second?
Second.
Duly seconded. Any objections? Hearing none, the motion is approved.
And lastly, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
just on the topic of Colonel Hector Grijaldo, I was going through the pages that were sent regarding
Service engagement.
his absence. Nakikita ko po dito sa kanyang patients first. Apparently, this is a medical explanation kung why he is not here, because he's suffering from shoulder pain. Unfortunately, Mr. Chair, there is no date indicated in the prescription letter. Other than that, on another page of his medical certificate, again, there is no date mentioned in his letter that he has forwarded to the committee. So, I would just like to find out, Mr. Chair, is this verified and true?
maybe we can ask his lawyer, Your Honor. We will defer the discussion on the matter of Colonel Grijaldo.
Okay,
When
I will
we-
defer to the better judgment of the chair. It's just something that I noticed when I was going through the documents. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank
Mr.
you,
Chairman.
DSJJ.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Congressman Fernandez.
Dapat hindi na po ako magsasalita about this because he mentioned our name in the affidavit that he testified in the Senate. And accordingly, when I saw the yung motion po ni Chairman Acop. Ngayon ko lang po nga nakita na wala siyang excuse letter, and justified po yung pag-move for the show cause order. And at the same time, nung binanggit naman ni DS also yung pong medical certificate, I think this is a prescription. And accordingly, nakalagay po dito yung kanyang problema, yung chronic left shoulder dislocation, and there are like procedure for MRI. Maybe we can ask the pihaw, no? Kasi I believe that andito ba yung pihaw natin sa PNP? Because
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
Mr. Chairman, with the indulgence of Congressman Co-Chair Dan Fernandez, we'll just discuss it later, no? And will, in fact, if you want to speak something about what really transpired during your conversation with Grijaldo, may we ask you to vacate your position as Co-Chair and be one of the spokesperson or the resource person.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. As a matter of fact, that's what I intend to do, to inhibit myself in the discussion about this issue. And together, maybe with Chairman Abante, we will be trying to relieve temporarily our chairmanship in order to discuss this in transparent and impartial and honest investigation on this matter, because this pertains to the integrity of this Quad-Comm, and we don't want that this Quad-Comm be deluged with so many bad comments about what Chairman Abante and this representation have done in order to pera the truth about the conformity of Colonel Grijaldo. Unfortunately, he's not here right now, and he is sick, and that saddened us as well, because we wanted really the members to ask him about what really happened, if there was really indeed a coercion and harassment that was done by Chairman Abante and myself. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And with that, if we will be discussing our issue with Colonel Grijaldo already, this representation on I will be yielding my position as a chairman of this committee.
Mr. Chair. Thank you, Congressman Fernandez.
And also be subjected to the procedure of a resource person. If indeed we need to be subjected to the procedure being undertaken by this committee.
Okay, that's noted, Congressman
Mr. Chair.
Fernandez. Before that, Congressman Adjong, let me ask if Congressman Paduano is already done with your
Not yet, Mr. Chairman. This will be the last invitees.
Just a matter of
with the indulgence of Congressman Paduano. Okay, so
Can I proceed, Mr.
please
Chairman?
proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And last, but not the least, at last, we received a letter coming from the former President, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, the authority given to Attorney Delgra, no, as his counsel in this investigation, Mr. Chairman, just a while ago, no, and I think all the members has a copy of the letter coming from Attorney Delgra, no, with regards to the reply of the former president on the invitation of this committee, Mr. Chairman. So I give the floor to
Mr. Chair.
the chairman and to the wisdom of the members of this committee how we will go about with regards to the letter of Attorney Delgra representing the former president. And Comsec, may I ask, is Attorney Delgra present?
Not today, sir.
Before we discuss with that, Mr. Chairman, I move, since, of course, he has a letter sent to us, no, the former president, giving authority to Attorney Delgra, I move, Mr. Chairman, that we issue a show cause order for Attorney Delgra to be present on the next hearing on the basis of his letter, no, and the authenticity of such authority given to him by the former president. So move, Mr. Chairman.
Again,
There is before we rule on the motion,
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just like to
let
be
me allow
recognized.
the members who wish to manifest, no? While we are at this subject matter on the letter sent to us by Attorney Delgra as the counsel to the former president, may we ask what is the pleasure
Yeah,
of
Mr. Chair.
Congressman Adyong?
Mr. Chair, before I touch on the issue raised just now by Chairman Carabs Paduano, Mr. Chair, while our invitees' names were mentioning by our COMSEC, I noticed, Mr. Chair, that one of our invited guests is present in today's hall. I noticed that former Commissioner Nicanor Faildon stood up when his name was mentioned. And just to be fair to our guests who are present today, may I humbly request, Mr. Chair, that our COMSEC assist our guest to his seat, because I believe I saw his name tag, nameplate on the table, so he will be seated properly at the table, Mr. Chair. So may I request former Commissioner Nicanor Faildon to proceed to the table to his assigned seat, and direct our Secretary to please assist him.
Okay, thank you. Paige,
Chair.
can you please assist former Commissioner Faildon to his seat?
Mr. Chair, may I proceed, Mr. Chair? On the matters of the letter of Delga, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please. Please proceed.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I believe, Mr. Chair, that the letter that was sent to this committee is about the reasons why the former president opted not to attend this committee hearing. As we all know, Mr. Chair, previous days ago, he attended the Senate inquiry on the same subject matter, Mr. Chair. I would just like to be enlightened as to how do we go about with the standing invitation to our resource persons. I understand, Mr. Chair, that the committee, this Quad committee, has been so lenient to the former president and to some individuals. And I agree with the leniency we have extended to the former president, according to him, being a former president and being a former head of state, Mr. Chair. Unfortunately, some of the guests here who were not present, sent us a letter, an excuse letter, specifying medical reasons. And for some, they have also sent their lawyers to represent them. I believe the lawyer of the former president, Attorney Delgra, is being given authority by his client, this being the former president, to appear on his behalf. Because as I was glancing over the letter of Attorney Delgra, specifying the reasons why the former president decided not to attend this committee hearing. And some of them are, to me, is some of the reasons, at least on my part, the way I understood it, is not only on the basis of him avoiding or refusing to attend the Quad-Comm, but he even went to assail the integrity of the Quad Committee, and even questioning the impartiality of some of the members of this Quad Committee. Now, I believe some of the members in the Senate, our counterpart, have also been extended the same invitation. But due to interparliamentary courtesy, we understand we never forced for these individuals to appear before this committee. I just want to be clarified as to the questions of attacking the credibility of the Quad Committee, and to some extent even questioning the impartiality of some of the members here, and in totality questioning the integrity of this Quad Committee. I really would want to ask Attorney Delgra to expound on this letter, because the former president attended the Senate committee investigation and so generously shared his thoughts on his policy on the war against illegal drugs. And again, as I was glancing over the letter, I also noticed that there are even some allegations of subordination. That some of the members here coerced a certain individual to say something which basically inducing perjury. So that is something to me that is cannot be just simply ignored because it borders criminal acts, Mr. Chair. And the third one, Mr. Chair, is that the reason why the former president is not present today, it's because, according to his lawyer, he has sufficiently and generously shared his inputs and insights and comments to the Senate subcommittee, chaired by Senator Coco Pimentel. But unfortunately, my confusion, Mr. Chair, is that when his allies, his spokesperson was asked about the truthfulness of his responses to the interpellation of one of the members of the Senate, he told the public that it was merely a joke, that the truthfulness of the statements of the former president seems to be in question. Because how can we take something which is a joke? So it makes me, it's difficult for me, Mr. Chair, to just simply take as it is at face value the transcript from the Senate, when we do not even know which part of his statements is a joke and which part of his statement is real and true. These questions I would really want to ask to his lawyer. Now again, we don't require the former president to be present because we accorded to him the leniency and the respect that he deserves as a former head of state, as a former president. But then again, these allegations of impartiality, questioning the impartiality of the Quad Committee, assailing the integrity of the Quad Committee, at the very least, Mr. Chair, I really was really expecting that Attorney Delgra would be present, and rather than just send to us a simple 3 pages letter. At the very least, he could at least enter his presence here, his attendance, Mr. Chair. So I just want to be clarified on how do we go about with this. Kasi unang-una, Mr. Chair, parang, look at all our invitees here, Mr. Chair. Some of the most important personalities that would give us insights and inputs for this committee to be guided properly and correctly in arriving to a sound judgment once we file before the plenary and report before the plenary, the committee hearing, are not here, are not present. Some of them, bigla na lang sumasakit ang mga bigla na lang may sumasakit sa mga katawan nila. Some of them are still, meron mga search warrant yung iba. So I just do not want to impress upon the public that these individuals who have served the government, who at some point in time took the oath of allegiance to the Constitution, at alam po natin ito lahat, upholding the Constitution without mental reservation or acts of evasion, the very Constitution that is sworn to uphold and pledge the allegiance to gives us the mandate to constitutionally exercise our oversight function. What they're doing right now, Mr. Chair, is a clear act of evasion. Mr. Chair, I just want to be clarified. How do we go about with this kind of situation?
Mr. Chair. Thank you for that manifestation, Congressman Adyong. We will address that concern later when the committee deliberates on the contents of the letter sent to us by Attorney Delgra. Yes, Congressman Flores, you are recognized.
Mr. Chair, Attorney Delgra is just being the lawyer, Mr. Chair. He's just, I think, stating the reasons given to him by his client, the former president. So if we insist that he be present, Mr. Chair, I don't think he will be the best person to answer the questions that we may have. It should be the former president himself. Well, I do not agree with the reasons he stated in his letter, Mr. Chair, but I don't think he's the proper person to ask, Mr. Chair. He's just the representative of the former president. And he,
So,
Mr. Chair.
We have a situation here now. Congressman Adyong asking for clarifications as to how can he address the former president intelligent questions that needs answers directly from the former president, while Congressman Keith Flores is just stating that Attorney Delgra cannot answer these queries that will be propounded by the members. So,
Mr. Chair, may I respond to that? Just
Mr. Chair,
very short,
Mr. Chair.
short, very
okay.
brief, Mr. Chair.
Congressman
if you may be
Adyong first,
allowed.
and then Congressman
Very-
Harry
yeah,
Fernandez.
thank you very much, Mr.
Just make it short.
Yeah,
Congressman
very
Adyong.
brief, Mr. Chair. I understand, Mr. Chair, my good friend here, Congressman Keith Flores. But number one, Attorney Delgar was chosen by President, so he confidently have trust on Attorney Delgra to at least respond on his behalf. Questions. Number two, the position of this representation simply is on the matters of the content of the letter. I will not be asking Attorney Delgra on how the previous administration implemented the war on drugs. I understand that he is not capable and he is not competent to answer these questions. I would simply wanted to ask, since his signature is affixed in his letter, I would simply want to ask how, I'm pretty sure they have discussed this over with his client. So I just want to elucidate to us, how did his client, the former president, arrive into this kind of conclusion? Because what appears to me, Mr. Chair, and what I do not simply cannot afford to understand, is that the House of Representatives, being part of a two bicameral chamber of the Congress, the Senate on one hand and then the House on the other hand, that a certain individual can simply select which institution or office he would like to go to. Now, to me, the former president had displayed a very active participation during the Senate investigation. And how come he cannot afford that, the respect that we have accorded to him because he was a former president? And I do not at least expect him to give us praises, to even, at the very least, compliment the works of this Quad Committee. But I did not expect that he would assail the integrity of the Quad Committee and even attack the integrity and the impartiality of some of the members here, Mr. Chair. So those are the questions I would like to ask to Mr. Attorney Delgra. And some of the members here, Mr. Chair, entered their appearances here. So do we also extend the same courtesy to Attorney Delgra?
I absolutely agree with you, Congressman Adyong, that we will have to require the counsel of the former president to enter his appearance before this committee. Unfortunately, when we received that letter the other day, we tried to reach him and ask for his presence for today so that maybe he can point out some or maybe answer some clarifications we may ask
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
the lawyer.
Mr. Chairman.
So, if I may, okay,
of order.
What is the point of order, Congressman Akop?
There was a motion a while ago for Attorney Delgra to be issued a show cause order. But pursuant to our records, we haven't invited him. In accordance with our protocol, an invitation is supposed to be made first, and if he does not appear, a show cause order will be issued by the committees. So I think we should issue first an invitation to Attorney Delgra for him to appear and show to us yung service engagement agreement that Attorney Delgra has with the president, former president, simply because it would be consistent with our protocols. In the case of Michael Young, Attorney Raymond Fortun was asked to produce yung agreement po nila ni Mr. Michael Yang at saka si Attorney Fortun. So, Mr. Chair, to be consistent with our protocols, I move that we issue an invitation to Attorney Delgra rather than issuing a show cause order. So move, Mr. Chair.
There is a motion to invite Attorney Delgra. Sige.
Chairman,
Yeah,
before we rule with
with the
the...
indulgence of Congressman Acop, because there was a motion that the chair and the committee was about to rule. Now, because of that, there are interjections. And because there are interjections from the co-chairs, we would like to entertain first before we rule. Now, in this case, Congressman Paduano, and then Congressman Dan Fernandez, and then Congressman Ace Barbers. Okay, is that yes, Congressman Paduano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ganito lang po, Mr. Chairman, why I move to issue a show cause, but I don't have any debate with regards to the possible amendments to my motion with regards to show cause order for Attorney Delgra. But remember, Mr. Chairman, that we have already sent 2 invitations. This is the second hearing that we invited the former president. And the first invitation was answered by Attorney Delgra, for on behalf of the President, in the absence of that authority being requested by this committee through this representation during the last hearing. Now, Mr. Chairman, looking at the answer, looking at the reply of Attorney Delgra on the first hearing, well, in fact, Mr. Chairman, naglulukuhan tayo dito. Why? Why? Because the first reply made by Attorney Delgra representing the former president is that the excuse is that the former president needs much rest, and assured this committee that he will be present in the next hearing. At the same time, he has a specific date, Mr. Chairman, given to this committee through this letter, after November 1. And let me read, Mr. Chairman, allow me to read in toto the portion of such reply coming from Attorney Delgra. Hence, my client respectfully requests to defer his appearance before the Honorable Committee scheduled tomorrow. Rest assured of my client's willingness to appear before the House of Representatives on some other available date, preferably after November 1, 2024. And for the record, Mr. Chairman, the invitation that was sent to the former president and was answered by Attorney Delgra was before the presence of the former president in the Senate. And he has promised us, this committee, through his letter, that after November 1, he will be present in today's hearing. Ano to? Naglulukuhan tayo dito? Well, in fact, I will not discuss and argue with our colleague, Congressman Kit Flores, with regards to the content of this second letter. But, malinaw po, Mr. Chairman, na naglulukuhan tayo dito. Naglulukuhan tayo dito because the first letter promised us that he will be present after November 1. Kung hindi tayo naglulukuhan dito, ano? Natatakot siya? Na pumunta dito? At so, Mr. Chairman, that's why my first motion was to issue a show cause order for Attorney Delga to answer both letters. And, Mr. Chairman, and I would like to reiterate once again that we should invite again the former president to be present in the next hearing.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Congressman
Mr. Chair.
Paduano.
Mr. Chair.
As I promised, Congressman Fernandez,
Yes.
and then we will rule on the motion.
Okay. Mr. Chairman,
Congressman Acop.
Mr. Chairman, there are 3 reasons mentioned by Attorney Delgra in consultation with the former president. para hindi po siya umattend ng ating pong hearing. First, binanggit po niya yung pangalan ko at binanggit niya yung pangalan ni Chairman Abante. Nag-prejudge na po kami doon sa mga binanggit niya po doon sa Senado and citing some provision of Republic Act 9851, particularly Section 6 on the willful killing. And with this, Mr. Chairman, we are being accused that nabahidan ng prejudgment yung mga issue that he mentioned. With that, Mr. Chairman, para lang po mawala na tong isyong to. Again, Mr. Chairman, I'm willing, this representation is willing to inhibit myself in asking questions with regards to this willful killing. And I hope that my co-chair here, Chairman Abante, will do the same in relation to the first issue that the former president, with consultation of his lawyer, cited in this letter. Secondly, that's the reason why we asked the presence of Colonel Grijaldo to be here, because he accused us of coercion and harassment and threats. And that's the reason why we are questioning, yung mga medical certificate that he submitted to this Congress. We wanted that the integrity of this Quad-Comm will be cleared eventually. And with that, Mr. Chairman, eradicating the coercion and harassment and the threats that he accused us, then the reason for the President not to attend on this Quad-Comm will be eliminated. Thirdly, Mr. Chairman, the only last reason that he mentioned in this letter is all the questions were already answered in the Senate. And that is not true, because we have a lot of 20,000 questions that we wanted to ask him. And with this, Mr. Chairman, yung pong reason niya for not to be here is not acceptable. So, Mr. Chairman, I believe that my position, in trying to inhibit ourselves, in this investigation pertaining to the number one issue that he mentioned, and also with the issue of Colonel Grijaldo, we will comply with the mandate of this Quad-Comm to inhibit ourselves and be a part of the resource persons that will be questioned by the members of this Quad-Comm. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Congressman Dan Fernandez. Now, Congressman Ace Barbers. There was a motion earlier that the committee invite Attorney
Mr. Chairman, you are recognized.
Thank you. That Attorney Delgra, being the counsel of the former president, be invited in the next hearing. And we direct the committee secretariat to take note of that and send the invite in the next Quad-Comm hearing to Attorney Delgra. Any second? Duly seconded. Any objections?
I object, Mr. Chair.
May I know what is the objection of Congressman?
We'll get nothing from him, Mr. Chair. He always just gonna say is that is what my client said. So that's the end of it, Mr. Chair.
1 minute suspension.